And there it is, the 3-point shooter. Alright, so you're going to get the package in the mail and you're going to open it up. And you might say to yourself, where is everything? Well, everything is here. So now we'll show you how to turn this box into the 3-point shooter. Okay, so these cards are an essential part of the program. The reason is because they are the cutouts. So you can either make these 3 separate cards and cut them out and use them as the molds. Or you can use the measurements. As you can see here, the measurements are all here. On each piece has their own measurements. So what we'll do is we'll open up the box, and this would be the bottom. That would be the top piece. And then these rectangular pieces, item D, go here. And B and C be the sides here. And then P and Q and also I will be cut out from here. The next step is to actually draw them out, these little pieces, on the box itself. But first, what you're going to need to make this work is cutters, either a box cutter or say an X-Acto type knife, a ruler, centimeter ruler, pencil because it's easier to erase, electric glue gun. It's easier done with electric glue gun because the glue obviously glues fast, but you can also use the traditional cold glue and masking tape. Just takes a little bit longer. Diagonal cutters, which you will actually use to cut up some of the wood pieces. Tweezers, because if you use electric gun, sometimes small spaces, it makes it kind of hot. You can burn your fingers. Be careful because these cutters can cut you. And if you use an electric gun, it's hot, so you have to be gentle with it. Now that we've opened up the box, you basically open up the box by opening up these 2 spots here. Sometimes they jam in. You have to kind of pry them open. You don't have to worry about damaging these parts here because you don't end up using them. In this case, we've already marked all these spaces, and based on the cards that come with it, right? And then using these pieces here, and then the extra cardboard piece that's included, marked out. Now we see we use the entire piece, right up to the edge. The other option is, instead of using this extra cardboard piece, you can actually make these pieces here. So you can actually use this, or this is either side here is your backup, and this little piece here can be either this piece here or on the front. So there are extra pieces around in order to substitute if you make an error. So it's all laid out for you. This is what it looks like, and the next step is to cut it. What I typically do is we score it. So you can run this along the line that creates a straighter cut, and then your second cut feeds right in that little groove you just created, and you might have to saw to cut it through. So we're going to go ahead and finish it off, and I'll show you what all the pieces look like. So you can see we have all the pieces cut, but this is what it's going to look like, and this is the actual 3-point shooter. Now this whole process probably takes, between drawing the lines, cutting it all out, probably takes about 45 minutes. So we start with our base piece A, and then that's 20 centimeters wide, so halfway is 10 centimeters. And then we take it 2.5 centimeters from the back, as our starting point, there. Then these 2 pieces, items B and C, will be 4 centimeters apart. Okay, so we've glued these, B and C, and they are 4 centimeters apart. 4 centimeters on the inside apart. Now item D fits right down there. What we've found is that if you make these too snug, then D doesn't fit, and they bevel out, which causes a problem with the tower that we're going to construct. So in order to remedy that is to actually put a piece back here to create an incline. So I'll go ahead and glue a piece back here, which will make this incline, which basically makes the ball roll towards you. So the piece that we created here is just 1 centimeter high by 3 centimeters wide, and that just fits in there. And now we go to the next step, and we make the sides, which are J, K, and L. So I'll go ahead and glue the back and the sides. And also we forgot to mention that there is a written manual on how to do it. So we've done this part here, and now we're going to make the tower here. And so that's where we do F, G, and H. And what they do is they all wrap in right here together. Like so. Do a little dry run. So we'll put those together. We'll start the tower. There's the makings of F, G, and H. As you can see, H is right there in the back, and F and G are connected right up to the side. So it's on the inside of B and C, and it makes almost a square, a bit of a tiny rectangle. And that's important because this piece, item M, will eventually fit over it. And we're going to swoop it around, but we're not going to do it now, but we have to make sure it fits. It's going to end up being a little snug, but that's the way it works. Now we just put in item I. Now this is a key piece. This is an important piece in order to make everything work. And another feature about item I that we may recommend is that instead of doing it 4 centimeters wide, you can try to do 4.5 centimeters wide. The reason being is it makes sure it hugs the outside, right? Because if it goes on the inside, it could bend. If it bends, it affects the shooter and it won't shoot very well. So you have to make sure this is strong and connected. This is where the shooter uses as a fulcrum. It also has to have an opening because the ball needs to run through. It can't be too long, but it actually has to be straight across. So there's one of your key pieces that needs to be right. Okay, in the packaging you have 3 tongue depressors. One you need to leave intact, that's your shooter. The other 2 you're going to end up cutting up. So the first piece, you're going to make a little bucket which is going to go down here. It's going to become the fulcrum for the shooter. And what happens, you make a piece 4 centimeters wide, and then a little bucket inside. And then this goes right on the bottom here. Just at the bottom, but not below. What we're going to do now is we're going to glue N and O right here, and this is going to be our quart side. Okay, we have that, and now we're going to turn it over, and we're going to create a couple little pieces down on the bottom here, similar you see in the diagram, and these pieces are going to hold the rubber band. Using the diagonal pliers, we cut one of the tongue depressors that we've already started on. And what we found is if you take a piece and you create kind of a triangle, it holds the rubber band better. So you take a little square piece and you're going to glue the triangle on top of that, and that is going to be a diagonal. We went ahead and glued those together, and it's pretty simple. It's just creating a little loop there. Is we just take a rubber band and we create a kind of a figure 8 and then collapse it upon each other like so, and then rubber band comes over here and it's going to lock like that. So it holds in place, and we're going to pull it back. This is how it won't slip if you pull it back. So we do 2 like that, and that's our spring. Okay, now we're going to make what we call the teeter-totter piece. And what it is something, it's going to look like this. We're going to have one base piece, several layers underneath, and then 2 is our fulcrum out of wood. It looks harder than it is. So here's our 6 centimeters wide. I'm going to cut those off, and then I'm going to split it. Easiest way to split it in 2 is just to score it. Careful. Once you do that, it just snaps in 2, and boom. And now I'm going to use this as my base, do several layers underneath. I'm going to cut this in half and then add about 3 squares on each side to make the teeter-totter piece. Here's 2 of my 4 layers on the bottom. On top, I'll do 2 more like that. And then stack 3 squares here, 2 or 3, and I'll have a teeter-totter piece. All glued together. Sometimes it comes out perfect, sometimes it doesn't. But just wanted to show you how we do it. Do 100 times, it may look a little different. Now we take this piece and we're going to glue it back here, and 4.5 centimeters from the back, starting at the curve. So 4.5 centimeters, and that's the beginning. So I'll glue that on top of that, and we're almost ready to shoot. And now we go back here and we attach the rubber bands to the little squares on top. Pull it back. That's where you get a little bit of our stretch. And we turn it over, and that's going to be our shooter. So this goes on top like so, and this goes in that little spot there. So it kind of fits snug sometimes, but I'll go ahead and try her out. So we put it over. Sometimes you have to squeeze this to make it all work, but as it fits inside of the back and around. On some occasions we even had to widen it to make it work, just because it just needed a sliver. Now another piece that's not shown in our printouts is you're going to need about a 2 centimeter by 1 centimeter wide piece on either side, right? One here and one here, and that's going to keep the floor from dropping down, because you're going to press on this, pushing the floor. So we want to stop the floor with a couple of little small cardboard pieces, and you just get those from the excess box. So I'm going to put those in now. See, I put them in right below and measured it up so I felt good where it would actually land. And now I'm going to put the front end in right up here. So now we have the remnants of it almost ready to go. Now, if you hadn't noticed, on page 1, the cards, on the back is a little piece, almost looks like a little rainbow. This is going to be your hoop. I'm going to cut this out, and it wraps around and creates a hoop. There you have it. And now you just cup it around like that, end to end, and that's a hoop. It'll glue in a certain point, but not all, because we're talking about a circle over a square. So maybe glue a little bit on the back, a little touch on the side, and hold in place, but make sure that the ball can get through it. So we'll go ahead and start that, and then again personalize it, and then I'm going to put the backboard, which goes on the back. We can measure the hoop, and we are ready. Now, a key part now I want to show you is the item U, which goes here. It needs to be on the inside of the front. But this makes the ball go forward. So this is another key piece. You glue it in, make sure it's solid, and if it doesn't work, you can always take it out and do another one. But you end up with a little glue. So this is a very key piece in order for the ball to shoot. And there it is, the 3-point shooter. As you can see, it works well. You can actually put the item E here, which stops the ball from rolling out. That's an option. Personalize it with a 3-point line. The rim and hoop attaches right here to the back, to the sides. The rim is actually at an angle because in our case, we wanted a bigger hoop. We wanted to make more shots. And there you have it. You can personalize it, add some decals, color in more, have a lot of fun, have a tournament, have 2, and have a competition. Enjoy!